So all the haters out there that said the fat guy couldn't climb down this hole, there you go. Got to prove them wrong.
This is Cap Talk from a hole with Congressman Moore.
And we're in. So come on in, we'll show you around.
I'm coming down. Oh, this is kind of fun. There I go.
Good? No. Just watch your head.
Yeah.
In 1814, when the British actually attacked Washington and nearly burned the Capitol building down, that they gained entry through this. At that time, this was an entrance and an exit into the stairway. That's how they came in, and of course, nearly burned the place down. It just kind of ends down here at the end, and there's a window there, and then it goes kind of around here, but then it literally just down in here, it literally just comes to just a dead end right there.
So, as we stand amidst history was made with the GOP passing the big, beautiful bill.
Yes.
A couple questions about that. What is the best part of the bill, in your opinion?
Well, one, we don't have to. We weren't stuck in here as we were voting during all those hours, so that was good for one. No, I would say the fact that it is really moving forward President Trump's agenda when it comes to energy independence for America. Secondly, it also is going to lower taxes. It's going to allow us for Americans to keep more money that they earn.
Now, there was an estimate regarding the bill itself, saying it was from a congressional office, saying that nonpartisan, by the way, saying that the bill does actually increase taxes on the lowest, on the poorest, by about 4%, and it would decrease taxes on the wealthy by about 2%. So what's the counter to that?
I only saw that in one. I only saw that in one report because the other reports that I saw and the CBO and everything showed that it was actually lowering taxes. So look, you can do anything with numbers.
The bill does have some cuts to Medicaid. They say it's going to ultimately kick about 8 million people off of Medicaid. They're going to lose their health care. So what do you say to those folks who say, you're kicking me off of health care, what do I do? What
we're guaranteeing is that folks who need it, in other words, if somebody's able-bodied, if they're able to work, no, if they're able-bodied, they shouldn't be getting it. I mean, that's just reality. But if someone's disabled, right, if someone has they can't take care of themselves, they've got some major infirmity, we ought to take care of those folks.
What about rural hospitals? There have been some reports that this is going to really impact rural hospitals because they rely on Medicaid.
What I can tell you is when it comes to rural health care, there's more than just Medicaid. There's like the federally qualified health centers. There's a lot of other things we need to be doing.
There's nothing like an interview in a hole.
And see, I made it out. And I can fit out.
What is one issue you actually disagree with the president on?
Oh, wow. Honestly, I don't know anything.
What is something you agree with the Democrats on?
That I agree? Well, I think one of the things that we as Republicans and Democrats both agree is that we have to get a handle on the national debt. The difference, most folks would tell you that the national debt, for example, should not exceed about 3% of the gross domestic product. The difference is how we get there, and this is a huge difference.
Why is UNC better than Duke?
Oh, we don't have an hour to go through all of that. But
regarding tariffs, big topic, do you think Congress should be able to pull back some of their power?
Well, I believe, number one, Congress ultimately has power. The president has used right now his emergency executive power, and I think, frankly, that he's justified in doing that. If you look at, for example, the fentanyl, one of the reasons he did this was the just ridiculous amounts of fentanyl coming in, killing thousands of Americans on a weekly basis. I mean, it's bad. If you look at some of the other policies, the currency manipulation, these other things that other countries have done, China, top of the list, we've had to take this stand.
What advice would you give to a kid in student government right now to follow in your footsteps?
Well, I don't encourage anybody to follow in my footsteps. Let's be clear. But I would say any young person who wants to be involved in government, they need to understand issues, get involved and get to know people, find out what it is that you believe in terms of the way things ought to go.
You love foreign affairs.
I do. I like to pay close attention to that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That is inherently part of your job.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're happy to hear that.
Even though I'm not on the Foreign Affairs Committee.
Yes. And I hear you went to South Korea.
Yes.
How was that? What did you learn?
Unbelievable. Just an amazing experience visiting South Korea. Just seeing the importance of the United States role there. If you go back to the history from the Korean War, guaranteeing that safety against North Korea, the strategic importance of having a significant presence there with China and what China's doing there in Asia.
In terms of foreign aid, you're mentioning all the different ways, the value of soft power. Do you see the value of soft power, and do you want us to use it?
I do. I think that it's like anything else. Relationships go a long way, and by being engaged in other countries and making sure that those folks know that that they understand what the United States is. I mean, you think about it, we're the most generous nation in the history of the world, right? We're a democratic republic. We welcome folks who legally go through the immigration process legally. And then we try to help promote and bring peace around the world. And there certainly is a national interest in doing that. There's a humanitarian reason to do it. And there's no country that's been as generous as the U.S. But what I do like about President Trump is he says we want to be generous, but we don't want to be taken advantage of. And that's very important.
This was Cap Talk from a hole for NewsNation and The Hill.